Brilliance Audio presents Toward the Midnight Sun by Eoin Dempsey, performed by Lauren Ezzo. The dreamers gathered, the throngs of idiotic unprepared, fueled by hope, driven by the despair of low wages and breadlines, by the newspapers' talk of recession, by the future that had been promised to them, and by the gold. All talk was of the gold, or the color, as those who boasted of having more experience had taken to calling it. It was suddenly everywhere. It gleamed in the storefronts of Seattle and in the haversacks of smiling prospectors stepping off the gangway into a life they had only hoped for, but never believed they'd possess. It had overtaken all else in the minds of the men and women gathered here. There was nothing else now. It was their hope. It was the light at the end of the dark tunnel their lives had become. They had forsaken everything for its promise. Everyone was here. Doctors and lawyers, bakers and students, servants and masters, musicians and whores. None was immune to the lure of the color. Its universal promise had brought them all here on a fool's errand to a land they had never heard of, or certainly never thought to mention just weeks before. The Klondike, just far enough away to elicit a palpable mysticism, and just close enough to make that dream a possibility. They had gathered here. Anna's eyes swept through the crowd that had assembled to send off the steamer. Perhaps it might have been better not to look, but she couldn't resist. Hundreds of pairs of eyes peered back at her. Mustached men, their hats casting the shadow of the afternoon sun on their faces, sang songs of the Klondike and of the bounty that awaited those fortunate enough to make the journey up to collect it. A few feet along the railing, a young man stated that he was looking forward to returning as a millionaire. His conviction was real. All on the steamer felt it. The smell of hay filled Anna's nostrils, and below her feet the horses thrashed in their thrown-together enclosures like fish in a net. Her eyes remained trained on the baying crowd below. The faces of her family tore at her heart, and tears welled in her eyes. Their time as her chaperones was over. They had been compensated for the expense of their journey with her as they passed her off. Her mother was stoic, her eyes unmoving, but even from her lofted position, Anna could see the sadness there. She had her arms around Anna's sisters, one on each side. Each girl had her head bowed, and as they brought their faces up, Anna could make out the streams of tears shining on her sister's cheeks. She raised a hand, but her gesture was not returned. She saw her mother draw her sister Mary into her bosom. Her other sister Henrietta continued peering up at the ship. Anna called down, but her voice drowned in the cacophony of cheers. It seemed there was no room for mourning in the revelry. The cheers came to a crescendo as the ship broke free of its mooring, and the good ship Mercury, newly fitted out for the most profitable journey in its long tenure on the ocean, set out for the hitherto unknown. The faces on the dock faded, and she lost sight of her mother and sisters. The noise of the crowd reverberated, tracking across the white peaks of surf the steamer left in her wake. Some of the crowd on board moved to the stern of the ship for one final farewell to their old life. Most did not. Most looked out toward the clear blue of the horizon, as if the goldfields would appear at any moment. Anna was still crying, wondering if anyone noticed. Her chaperones, Bryce and Stevens, perhaps the only two men on board who had any idea what lay ahead of the stampeders, were sitting on a bale of hay a few feet away, playing cards. Bryce threw a glance up at her before raising a flask of whiskey to his unwashed mouth. She wondered if she need tell them that she wanted to take a walk around the ship, but recognized they didn't care what she did. She pushed her way through the crowd. Some of the people on board were dressed for the goldfields already, in their brand-new iron-toed boots and plaid flannel shirts as yet unsullied by the sucking mud of the Klondike. Others seemed dressed for a pleasant summer jaunt in moccasins and corduroys.